that left hook was a
There are fighters who enter the ring with promise, and there are fighters who enter the ring with destiny etched into their fists. Gervonta "Tank" Davis belongs to the latter. Compact in stature, yet colossal in presence, he has earned a reputation as the most lethal finisher of modern boxing's sweet science, a mortician whose hands write requiems for the careers of those who dare to stand in front of him. For over a decade, he has carved through the lightweight and super lightweight divisions with the consistency of a machine, collecting scalps without pause, without misstep, and without remorse. He is called many things: the new Tyson, a wrecking tank, a prodigy who matured into an executioner. But one thing is certain: no man who has shared the ring with him has ever forgotten the thunder in his gloves. The story of Tank's rise is best told through the symphony of destruction he conducts. Inside the ropes, each knockout another note in a violent opera, and to witness it is to watch a star boy grow into a force of inevitability. Tonight, we revisit the nights where his fists silenced doubters, crushed egos, and etched his name among the most feared fighters of the modern era. The tale begins with a clash not only of skills, but of personalities. Rolando Romero, known as much for his mouth as his fists, entered the build-up to their fight with a torrent of insults, mocking Davis for his size, belittling him with jabs that cut far deeper than mere fight promotion. Romero, an undefeated knockout artist himself, strutted as though Olympus had crowned him invincible, his record of 14 wins with 12 knockouts fueling the fire of his arrogance. To him, Davis was a dwarf, a fighter unworthy of fear. But Davis did not answer with words. He did not waste his breath on rebuttals or sink into Romero's theatrics. Instead, he stored every insult, letting them ferment into cold resolve. When the bell rang, Romero began well, throwing sharp combinations and attempting to impose his range. He looked as if he might justify his boasts, landing punches that made the early rounds uncomfortable for Davis. But in the sixth, the narrative shifted. Tank, coiled like a spring and waiting for his moment, unleashed a left hand that landed flush. The arena erupted as Romero crumbled, the very words he had spoken, now silenced by the definitive language of violence. It was justice in its purest form, the arrogant humbled, the loud silenced, the mortician delivering his verdict. The fight ended not with questions, but with clarity. Tank had punished the insolent, and his legend grew. Yet, it was not his only masterpiece. In October 2020, Davies crafted what many consider the most iconic knockout of his career against the seasoned Mexican champion Leo Santa Cruz. This was no ordinary fight. It was a clash of styles, with Cruz bringing relentless volume and Davies bringing precision power. From the opening bell, the ring sounded like a battlefield. Leather crashing against guard, fists slicing the air like bullets. Santa Cruz poured on combinations, testing Davis with pressure and pace. But Tank absorbed, adjusted, and waited. He needed only a window, a moment where Cruz would open just enough. That moment came in the sixth round. Trapped in the corner, Cruz let loose a barrage, confident he had Davis contained. But Davis, with a predator's patience, fired an uppercut that landed with devastating finality. Cruz fell lifeless to the canvas, the crowd in stunned silence at the suddenness of it all. It was not merely a knockout, it was art, a single punch that captured the essence of Davis. Ruthless, clinical, unforgettable. The legend continued to swell when Davis stepped into the ring with one of boxing's brightest young stars, Ryan "King" Garcia. The bout, staged in April 2023, was more than a fight. It was a generational showdown, a spectacle that captivated the entire boxing world. Both men entered undefeated, both carried immense fan bases, and both had power capable of ending the night. In an instant, the stakes were monumental. Two of the division's most marketable stars, colliding with pride, legacy, and their cherished unbeaten records on the line. The fight itself lived up to every expectation. Garcia came out fast, sharp, and hungry, even landing a thunderous left hook in the second round that tested Davis's chin and forced gasps from the crowd. But Davis is not a man easily broken. He adjusted, lured Garcia into over, and began to unravel the King's composure. Exchanges grew more violent, each man firing as though the fate of kingdoms hung in the balance. It was a symphony of violence, a gloved Armageddon. But in the seventh round, Davis lowered the curtain. With a perfectly placed body shot, he forced Garcia to take a knee. The pain too sharp, the will momentarily crushed. The undefeated King had been dethroned, not by brute force, but by precision, patience, and inevitability. The world watched as Garcia, humbled, conceded to the superior man. For Davis, it was not just victory, it was confirmation that he was boxing's executioner of kings. Then came Frank Martin, another undefeated contender, hungry to make his name at Davis's expense. By June 2024, Tank's reputation was established, but challengers kept coming, each man believing perhaps he would be the one to slay the beast. Martin was sharp, confident, and durable, even managing to steal moments in the early rounds with crisp counters and clever footwork. But Tank is patient. He studies, he waits, and when the 8th round arrived, he struck. A left hand detonated on Martin's chin, and the young fighter crumbled, reduced from promise to prey. In that moment, Tank reminded the world that in his division, there are levels, and he stands firmly above them all. But Davis's destruction cannot be confined to just these names. Against Ricardo Nanas, in July 2020, he displayed the same merciless instinct, turning the ring into a storm of violence from the very first bell. When Nunzi tried to steal advantage with a blow to the back of the head, Davis responded with fury. Within 40 seconds, he unleashed a barrage so fierce that Nanes was left broken, his name added to Tank's ever-growing list of casualties. It was swift justice, an execution as brutal as it was decisive. Mario Barrios learned the same truth in June 2021. Towering over Davis by more than 5 inches, Barrios sought to weaponize his reach and height, keeping Tank at distance with jabs and straights. For a time, it worked. But Davis is not intimidated by size. He dismantles it. Slowly, methodically, he closed the distance, landing bombs that turned the fight's momentum. In the 11th round, he buried a shot into Barrios's liver, folding the larger man like timber. The lumberjack had felled the giant. It was another lesson that size may impress the eye, but skill and power carved the final story. And even earlier, in April 2016, against the experienced Guillermo Avila, Davis showed that his destructive tendencies were not born of hype, but of nature. From the start, he transformed the ring into a torture chamber, dissecting Avila's defense with cruel precision. Punches flowed like water, combinations crashing against Avila's guard until it splintered. By the 6th, Davis unleashed a savage flurry that ended the bout, a dessert of destruction served to a veteran who could do nothing but crumble under the storm. It was the performance of a young predator announcing himself to the world, a foreshadowing of the mortician he would become. Fight after fight, knockout after knockout, Davis has crafted a legacy that grows not only in victories but in fear. Opponents do not simply lose to him, they are broken, humbled, dismantled. His compact frame conceals dynamite, his fists carry a touch of death, and his patience ensures that when he strikes, it is with surgical precision. He is the tank that rolls forward without pause, crushing whatever lies in its path, indifferent to the names or reputations of those who dare stand before him. And yet, what makes Davis more than just a puncher is his discipline, his timing, and his ring IQ. He is not reckless in his pursuit of violence. He waits, he observes, he lures opponents into mistakes and then punishes them with finality. It is this marriage of power and patience that makes him unique, that elevates him from a dangerous fighter to a generational force. As we look back on his career, the silencing of Romero, the masterpiece against Santa Cruz, the dethroning of Garcia, the dismantling of Martin, the destruction of Nanes, the chopping down of Barrios, and the ruthless baptism of Avila, see a common truth. Gervonta Davis is not simply a champion. He is boxing's executioner, a man whose very presence in the ring turns every bout into a countdown toward inevitability. For 11 years and counting, he has collected names, broken dreams, and left behind nothing but devastation. And he is not finished. Each knockout is not the end, but another chapter in a story still unfolding. The tank continues to roll, its tracks unstoppable, its firepower unmatched. The question is no longer whether Davis can be beaten, but who, if anyone, will dare to try. Until then, the mortician remains undefeated, his hands forever writing the requiems of those who step forward. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next story.